Absolute Wonder Woman issue 8, Kelly Thompson writing with Hayden Sherman on the art. So, new arc on Absolute Wonder Woman. We've been enjoying this book quite a bit. I was really excited to get away. I mean, as much as I enjoyed that little two-parter, it was nice to come back, get the rest of the cast back. We get a nice recap page at the start of this, which I thought was cool. I read it, even though I didn't really need to, but it was still nice to just summarize it. And
I love a good previously on page. Yeah. You know, if they have the real estate to do it, let's do it. You know,
why not?
Nice summation of what led us to here.
Especially, like, you know what? See, if the argument is it's a waste of a page physically, then put it in the digital version, because the digital version doesn't matter. The extra page isn't taking up anything on digitals.
Yep.
You know, it's like what 2 kilobytes? Like, just give us it.
Yeah.
So anyway. Wonder Woman is apparently on the outskirts of Gateway City. She owns a fairly sizable plot of land, which the others, when they show up, are quite surprised by. But it turns out, no, she literally owns it through a company name, through an LLC. Apparently, the goddesses set up this a long time ago, and this is all part of the plan. So there was an LLC already purchased some land for her. You try to find it? You try to find the name of the company?
I'm trying to find the name of the company. And Hecate Holdings, LLC.
Hecate Holdings, that's what it was. Yeah, there you go. Yes. So that's that. Also, the more interesting thing in this issue, though, arguably, is we get a lot of Veronica Cale, and we get a lot of the fact that she has Dr. Poison, who is effectively just a gas inside, like, a old, like... I don't even know what sort of suit this is. Like an old, like, hazmat suit?
They do call it a World War... Yeah, they call it an old World War II relic, right? Is that what she calls it?
Yeah, but that doesn't specify what type of suit it is, though. I mean, it gives you the era it's from, but it doesn't tell you what it was for.
No, but I would definitely guess that with the type of helmet and whatever, it was definitely like a... Not quite a hazmat, but definitely going into a dangerous place. You know, but the fact that it holds the gas away, it makes me only wonder if it was like an anti-gas kind of suit, you know,
that would make sense
for the monstrosities that were happening there. But man, I always forget about Dr. Poison being a Wonder Woman villain, because there's not too many more modern stories with Dr. Poison, right? We always get Cheetah and Dr. Psycho and Ares, you know, so seeing Dr. Poison show up here.
Dr. Poison did show up during our time on the show, though. I remember Dr. Poison showing up.
Yeah, but I just not in the same way that some of the other villains usually do, and it's instantly synonymous with Wonder Woman. You know, not like Cale. Like, we see Veronica Cale, I'm just like, oh, cool. So when this was leading to Dr. Poison right here, I was like, oh man, all right. So Kelly Thompson's, we're going this direction.
I'm really into this as a second big arc for this book, because the threat in the first arc was a big mythological monster. So having a very human villain, and then more specifically Dr. Poison being this weird science, like, experiment gone wrong type villain, is really cool to me as a contrast, because it's a more sort of real world but science fiction-y villain, and I think that's kind of cool. I like the vibe, I like the look of the suit, this idea that they're doing various testing, and like Veronica Cale's doing the whole cake is a lie thing, where she keeps promising a better suit. But when she mentions it to the employee who's like running the room, like, the employee kind of seems to imply that there is like new suits available already. Like, Veronica keeps telling Dr. Poison, we'll have maybe one in a couple of weeks. Like, it's coming soon. We're working on it. But no, they've already got it. But for some reason, she doesn't want to give Dr. Poison the new suit. Like, she's got Dr. Poison just sort of working with the cake is a lie kind of philosophy. Yeah,
because Dr. Poison mentions, like, it's hard to do fine motor things with these big old gloves. So, like, if you really want me to do more work, like a nice, you know, smaller hand, you know, whatever, like gloves would work. And so it's like, well, what's Cale up to? It definitely drove the mystery of, like, why is she denying the suit?
Yeah, I felt like it's definitely a control thing of some kind. We don't have all the context yet to understand exactly why yet, but it does feel like a control thing. And so, I mean, this all obviously comes back up later, but I like the vibes of all this, the secret lab, Cale being the one in charge. All that was cool. When we go back to the others, though, it's Steve and the ladies finding where Diana is. and Diana does like a spell basically to form the well, it ends up being called the HAYDEN, right? But she basically forms it like the Fortress of Solitude, but it's not crystals. It's like, it's concrete. It's like circular
It's stone from the earth.
Yeah, circular strips of stone coming out of the ground and forming this very elaborate looking, building that wouldn't look out of place on Themyscira, right? It's that kind of pantheon style, like godly type of structure.
Lots. Although, but I love the amount of arcs and clean lines and curves that it has. Right? It is almost like the anti-Fortress of Solitude in that way, where when we see the fortress, it's got the crystals and they're jagged and they're pointy. This is all a nice and round. It's a bit different, and it really is something of her own, because I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in Wonder Woman. Right? Like, it's usually like just a regular building that she's operating out of. So the fact that she has kind of her own temple, Temple of Solitude, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, all right. Calm it down, Matt. So the characters are inside and they're sort of chilling out and they're impressed by it. But Wonder Woman hears something that none of them can hear that freaks her out. Because one of the things that came up in the Veronica Cale section is that they were able to record some of the sound that the Tetracide was sending out, and Cale gave it to Dr. Poison, so it's like, oh god, what are they going to be able to do with that? I mean, it's just a recording, but can they sort of like reverse engineer it? Can they make their own version of it? And Diana's hearing their version of it, and she's able to kind of like fight through it and find the source, because it's not obviously as potent as the real thing, but that's what she's hearing. And there's all these like robotic spiders like running around the middle of the city, which she starts stomping on. She helps a couple of civilians, but she's like, crap, there's tons of these things. I have to try and like make myself a target, lure them all towards me. So we get some great art here where she takes like a test tube of some magic potion or something and breaks it on herself, and it makes like almost like a big flaming kind of like avatar like around her, which attracts all these little spidery things. She essentially becomes like a bug lamp, right? Like she's drawing them all to her. Yeah, so they all come to her, and she kind of does some spinning around, makes them all fly away, and she's able to locate the source. They're all climbing up this unfinished building, up top to this building, and she goes up there to see where it's coming from. Some cool art of her flying up the side of this building, but you can also see the robotic spiders crawling up the wall at the same time. I say wall, I should say scaffolding. The skeleton of the building. But when she gets up top, Dr. Poison's there, and Wonder Woman's ready to like start throwing punches. She's pretty pissed. She thinks this is monstrous, that someone using this stuff to do something evil already is like shocking to her. Like she expected retaliation for like showing up and changing things in the world, but not this quickly and not this nastily. But Dr. Poison's like, wait, don't hit me. My name is Dr. Poison, and you're going to want to hear me out. And Dr. Poison claims that there's an Amazon somewhere, that there's another Amazon that's not her, and Diana's eyes widen, and that's when the book ends. And it feels like to me here, Dr. Poison is going off script and doing something behind Cale's back. That's the impression, because earlier on, Dr. Poison requested some like outside time to get some samples or something. They said. So I think what's happening here is that Dr. Poison's used this as an opportunity to try and like tell Wonder Woman something. So does this mean that Cale has like an Amazon locked up like in a secret lab or a prison somewhere, and this is like what this is building to? But it does feel like Dr. Poison's possibly a frenemy in this version, but we'll find out. Yeah.
But that always isn't that like the most common thing when it comes to the Wonder Woman villains. They all start as a frenemy, and then they find themselves on the opposite end of Diana for reasons. Because I feel like it's always Diana's compassion that she doesn't make enemies that easily, right? So I also, if that's what it is, like an homage to that kind of thing, I think that's also smart. That we're getting one this early now. But yeah, the idea that it's called Area 41, I wonder if that's another thing. Like yes, we have Area 51, right? But I wonder if that's a reference to Wonder Woman's first appearance or something. And
1941 sounds about right. I don't know if that's the exact year, but it
right?
sounds
Yeah.
if you tell me it's 1941, it sounds plausible.
Mm-hmm. So, but just, and it seems like they're part of some big government organization because there's a big seal, right, on the ground. But it also looks like the elevator lobby, right, when we first see Kale in Area 41. It almost looks like the elevator lobby from Cabin in the Woods. With a bunch of these doors in, so who else does she have here, stationed in here? Is this how we're going to meet some of the other Wonder Woman villains that we come to think of? And then the other thing that really stood out to me is Barbara, right? When they're trudging through the foliage in this forest on the outskirts of Gateway City, she sees that stack of stones that Diana ends up using as like an altar to build the hair on. And she wants to touch it, but she can't. Diana stops her. And then she needs everyone to clear out so she can do this ritual, so because it has to be pure. And Barbara's talking to Steve, and she's like, I appreciate, that you're excellent following orders and whatever, but I have a brilliant inquisitive mind. And he is like, that's great, but keep going. So I wonder if that's sowing the seeds to how she ends up becoming Cheetah, right? She wants to be a lot more hands-on, and it's coming from this place of curiosity and, wanting to know more about Diana and all this other stuff. So I do like that was put in here.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be like a conscious choice to become Cheetah, though. I could see it being more, she ends up doing that by accident, but it's her curiosity and desire to know more things that leads to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like it's her nature, right? She wants to be hands-on. She wants to find all this stuff out, So I like that character spot is put in there, and I like how I love this group of friends already. Like we don't get much more than we have, but it already feels like a solid group. Weirdly, in the couple pages that we get them in. So props to Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman for getting that vibe down. But in a lot of the greens in the background too, the first arc was all in the city and in hell. So there's lots of reds and grays and all of that. So them being in the foliage, and surrounded by it, it almost gives it a different tone. So, but man, I really love this book. It's so good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this issue is kind of perfectly structured in the sense that, like, obviously you're setting up her home base and that's fine, but for me, the expert crafting here comes from the Kale stuff at Area 41, the setup of Dr. Poison, which feels like, okay, this is setting up stuff for the future. So the reveal at the end of the book that Dr. Poison's behind the thing that's going on that's attracted Diana to the city is a nice little surprise that makes the book feel like it's come full circle, where it's like, okay, that wasn't just setting stuff up for the run later down the line, that was actually going to pay off by the end of the issue. And we have just enough to make it intriguing. Why would Dr. Poison be contacting Diana? And maybe, again, this Area 41, maybe it has an Amazon in there somehow. Especially since everything in this book has led us to believe that she is the last of the Amazons. So,
yeah,
very, very, very well done in that sense. And I do love the focus feeling very different to that first arc where it was all this big giant monster. It was all this big spectacle. I like that this is a little bit more, a bit more personal and a bit more low key to sort of start building up the kind of the sort of threats that she's going to find on Earth, because the threat in the first arc was very much something that came from her mystical world. Here it's like, no, all these threats we're now exploring are all stuff that are coming from on Earth and people on Earth. So I think that's a really good way to make it feel fresh and make us feel like we're exploring another dynamic, another element of what we're going to get in this book.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. And then you have kind of mad scientist of Kale, right, going against this very magical version of Wonder Woman, who does magic spells and stuff, and it's just not the mythology like in the mainstream DC. And it's not just the being from myth and antiquity. It's she's doing the magic, and how's that magic going to go up against science? So I really like that, seeing where that's going to go.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I think this was a great issue, and it really kind of made me excited for the ongoing larger narrative that Thompson's building for the world that she's making for this Wonder Woman, because it feels like there's just all these elements that are kind of coming together, and it's the thing that I was maybe missing a little bit in those last two issues, because it was just separate again, because it was just, you know, in hell. So this to me was like, okay, this is exactly what I like about this book. I'm glad we're back in the main world and we're doing the supporting cast, we're doing building more of the villains and what this new mythology is going to be. Super into it. And Sherman's art is obviously very well laid out. I think obviously maybe the standout for a lot of people will be that 2-page layout where the building's coming up and being formed, because the panels kind of mimic the shape of all the stone. It's all these curved panels, so it gives you that real impression of movement as they're all coming up and forming the building. So really smart stuff. Good. What are you giving Wonder Woman, or Absolute Wonder Woman, I should say, Matt?
I mean, it's a 9. I thoroughly enjoyed this issue.
Yeah, I find it hard to argue with that, honestly. I think it's a 9 out of 10. The book's been firing on all cylinders pretty much the whole time. So cool.